Cominciamo? Ah sì.
We can start. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us. We know that during a trade fair, it's not easy. We're very glad to have you with us. I'm Giorgio Cabras from FEDON Group. We celebrate our 100th anniversary. On my right, Mario Marchi, General Manager, Professor Chiara Mauri, Bocconi University, Andrea Moreto, Ambiente Italia, and Andrea Dragotto, SWG. What will we talking about today? We have three themes specifically. I will try and take little time for the introduction. First of all, the importance of integrated communication among the various elements that make up the product. Professor Chiara Mauri will speak about it. Second theme, the result of a market survey we carried out with SWG Italy. And we have a feedback from end consumers on the perceived value of the eyeglass case. Andrea Moreto, Ambiente Italia, will speak about environmental sustainability trends and specifically the project we're carrying out together with him and his company on eyeglass cases. Final part, brand equity and how eyeglass case may contribute to generate value for the brand, and final part, conclusions, and also a question and answer session. And I do hope I may have many questions from you. I'd like to thank you all, those that have cooperated and contributed to the seminar. Ambiente Italia, SWG Italia, Mido, Bocconi University, and the FEDON team. And some of them are present here. They worked a lot on the project. So thank you so much. And have fun. I give the floor to Professor Chiara Mauri. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. When, at the beginning of the 90s, they started writing books on brand management. Well, there was brand awareness. Brand management system was introduced by Procter & Gamble. It was the first in 1936, 1938. And the brand was interpreted especially just like a brand. A sign that a producer places on the product to claim its ownership and authenticity. It's some sort of fingerprint. The point of view of the user was not studied. This distinctive sign was placed on the individual product, and it was not necessarily applied to accessory elements, sometimes not designed together with the product, but made available sometimes later. Many of such accessories were designed to contain the product till the final sell-out moment, and they had no other function than accommodating the product, logistical function. Just like such cases you see here, shoe boxes. You see such shoe boxes, and who knows what the brand of the shoes inside is. So anonymity of the container has no impact on the brand of shoes, and perhaps in the course of time it might reduce the memory of the brand of the shoes when the distinctive sign of the product, that is to say the brand, helps a person choose, a person is supported in the decision-making process, the brand goes from the sphere of the producer, let's call it the plant. We have here the case of Esselunga, it's a building, and then it becomes a thought of the individual person. I haven't invented this sentence that is extrapolated from a qualitative survey, and some respondents said that Esselunga is just like a sister, giving advice, and I'd like to tell you that the name Esselunga is a name that comes from consumers. They started calling it like this during an advertising campaign. Esselunga was not called Esselunga at the beginning. So, individual people interpret the brand and make it their own. A brand is not just a relationship between the producer and the product, it's a relationship between the producer, the product, and people. And people amongst themselves. Once again, I stress that the brand gets out, walks around, establishing a silent relationship with the others through so-called brand elements I will talk about. The experience of use, just like in this case that you can see in the slide, widens the boundaries of the brand. Let's think about a bag that breaks after very few minutes because what it contains is too heavy. It opens the boundaries of the brand because it brings to light the rituals of individual people. The brand gets progressively richer with primary and secondary brand elements that help it express its full potential. Let's think about the name of the brand, the logo of the brand, the testimonials, the so-called characters, the URL of an internet website, slogans, jingle, but also packaging. The so-called brand elements have different functions, and here I indicate two of such functions. They help memorize the brand, packaging, and to make memory of it easy, and through their meaning they contribute to mental associations with the brand. So, it's essential that brand elements may be designed together with the brand, and they should be consistent with the brand. I shouldn't tell an expert audience what the functions of the packaging of a product are. In this venue, I'd like to make a list of them, a list important for a brand. Identify the brand, communicate the brand, communicate descriptive information, and protecting the product while it's in a bag or other places, and compared to most packs, also precious packs. Think about a pack containing a precious watch. It ends up in a drawer and it remains there. The case of eyeglasses goes around, and they are seen various times a day. Last week, and I haven't invented this story for this conference, I was in a university in Spain for a training course in Barcelona, and sitting there was the CEO of a cosmetic company, and on the bench there was the case of the eyeglasses So his case, it was there, and it remained there all morning long. And in front of the elevator, he was keeping the case just like this in his hands, and I asked him, can I take a picture of you? And I told him I will deliver a speech, and I asked him why he had that case, and he replied that the case of the brand didn't work so well, and he had that case that the optician gave him. I didn't enter the details. I didn't want to be too intrusive, even if I told him why I was asking certain questions. You get so fond of certain cases, you bring them around when you travel, just like the case of this other case, always on the desk. There it is, you see? You see the same desks. It was a pencil case that another participant placed on the desk. Let's go back to the purchase experience, the experience of a choice of a product. Each contact between an individual and a brand is a moment of accumulation of experience, knowledge, and hence confirmation or non-confirmation. Gradually, the individual person learns to appreciate those elements that may seem accessories at the moment of purchase, and however, such accessories gain importance in the course of time, and they may add value to the brand or take away value from the brand. We tried to understand how customer experience can be measured, and we studied this point. Customer experience is measured with such 5 indicators that you see here. We submitted various brands. We did it in various countries in the world. We interviewed in Italy 6,000 people and an additional 1,000 people in every country. What happens? Customer experience is given by such 5 elements. Brand honesty. Brand honesty means so many things. And it's authenticity and keeping promises. For example, originality, consistency, and also respect for privacy. That's what brand honesty is. Second element. Yes, it's true that it is less important, but its importance is surprising. Gratification. The hedonistic component of the experience. The brand should give mental fun, emotional fun. Think about pleasure when you touch a case. Then inclusiveness, 13.7%. Inclusiveness means making the person feel that that person shares something in a relationship. And the previous brand of the case was the optician's brand, despite the brand of the eyeglasses was different. So you have a relationship between the optician and the client. So then fulfillment, it means the effort in terms of time, money, resources, the effort made by people to get a brand. To make the example of Esselunga, people walk for a certain amount of minutes to reach Esselunga. Then regret in red. Regret, and here you have a formula, an equation. Regret has a minus sign. That is to say, regret and disappointment of having bought that brand. Think about an automobile, for example, and think about some other elements. and regret when you purchase something. It doesn't have much to do with a product, but an accessory element that is not in line with the needs of the client, preventing the brand from expressing its full value. 6 people out of 10 are disappointed at the case of eyeglasses. I don't know how many of them replaced the case just like the previous example. However, it's a loss of communications opportunity. Thank you so much.
Grazie mille, ringrazio.
Thank you, and thank you, FEDON, for the invitation to this very important event. Well, I'd like to follow up on what the previous speaker said, and I'd like to illustrate research that we conducted in SWG, men and women aged between 20 and 60, who had purchased a pair of eyeglasses or sunglasses in the last 2 years. And we talked with them about cases, about eyeglass cases. So, interestingly enough, talking about the expectations vis-à-vis eyeglass cases, the first thing that is pointed out is that practicality and functionality are the 2 most important features that an eyeglass case should have, and this is the rational part of the decision-making process. Well, 92.5% of the people interviewed, of the respondents, agree on that. But besides this, one of the most relevant aspects is that eyeglass cases must be high quality. Today, when buying a pair of glasses, considering also the high price, well, you expect that eyeglass cases are high quality too. And the poor quality may also have led to the fact that that Spanish professor used any case provided by the optician. Another important element, and this is a very important element for communication, the eyeglass case must reflect the image and the DNA of the brand. Today, brands not only identify the product, but also the choices and the expectations of the user. Whenever you buy a product, whenever you buy a specific brand, well, this is because you want to tell other people about yourself. A pair of glasses, is extremely important. If you don't see the brand, you can hardly identify it. And the case should also identify the brand, because this is a way to communicate to other people my personal choice. This is what respondents pointed out. 75% of respondents said the eyewear case must be consistent with the brand. And 35.6% said a lot. Last but not least, the made in Italy aspect. 59% of respondents said whenever they buy a pair of glasses, they prefer to have a case that was manufactured in Italy. Well, the made in Italy element is stronger than ever today, and the case becomes an added value because it complements the value and the value aspect, which is so important for our target. So if we want to wrap up, let's say expectations are high quality and consistency with the brand. But what are the feedbacks that people leave? Well, 6 out of 10 people, when they bought a pair of glasses, well, they were somehow disappointed vis-à-vis the eyeglass case that they received. And this is particularly important for the target, which is the most important one with the highest purchasing power. Millennials, you see that over 60% of the people belonging to the millennial target on which we focus communication were somehow disappointed with the case they received, especially women. And women are those who keep the eyewear case in their bag. They put it on the desk or on the table in multiple occasions. And women, as we will see later, like being identified by the choices they make and by the objects they choose. Well, you know, very often cases are given by the opticians at the very last moment. We have already paid, we have already taken the glasses, and finally we receive the case. Vis-à-vis the great expectations we have for the product we've just bought, the case is not always able to fulfill our expectations. Eyeglasses today become really the protagonists in terms of shapes, of looks, and the cases are not always consistent with that, and for this reason we have disappointment. Disappointment now wants to be counterbalanced, because the case, the eyeglass case, is also the protagonist because we carry it around. For spectacles, for example, we asked people to tell us where they keep the case.
Però se vedete le donne.
Many people keep it at home because they don't use it very often, but 6 women out of 10 keep the case in their handbag. They take it out and they put it on the table, as we said, so the case is visible. Well, for men, well, often they put their case into their partner's bag, but among men too, the eyeglass case is often showed. But perception changes, for example, when dealing with sunglasses. Sunglasses, by the way, are often taken on and off in different situations if we are indoor and then go outdoor. So it is easier in this case to show the eyeglass case. As you can see, men, for example, keep the case in the car on the dashboard in order to store the eyeglasses when not in use and in their partner's handbag, for example. Or some people carry the sunglasses, for example, in the jacket's pocket. There are multiple occasions where the eyeglass case can be shown. And how often is the eyeglass case shown? How often does the eyeglass case identify the brand or the product itself? Many people said, especially for spectacles, but also for sunglasses, well, many people said even more than 5 times a day. Reading glasses, for example, that they are taken on and off multiple times. For 47% of the sample, they are shown from 3 to 5, up to 59% for sunglasses. And this holds true both for men and for women, but for women in particular, for sunglasses, 67.6% of the women interviewed said they show the eyeglass case 3 to 5 times a day, especially when going from indoor to outdoor and vice versa. So what can we say in conclusion? This is, by the way, only a summary of a much wider piece of research that we conducted. Now, more than ever, the eyeglass case needs to be the protagonist, as the eyeglasses are, in order to represent the brand, but most of all, in order to represent the expectations of people upon purchase. So the topic of communication is very relevant. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Andrea Moretto, Ambiente Italia. Well, I work for a company that has been working in the field of environmental sustainability for over 2 decades, and we've got great experience in the analysis of a product life cycle.
È stranissima questa cosa. Ci siamo.
So, lifecycle assessment is our core business, and this is an assessment that starts from punctual fulfillment of every single life cycle stage of a product, thus assessing the impact of the specific product. And this can be used for any type of product. In this specific case, we applied our assessment to FEDON products, that is, to eyeglass cases. One thing to point out is that this methodology has been regulated for the past 2 decades and considers not just one specific stage of the life cycle of a product, for example, a specific activity such as recycling, but considers the whole life cycle from the very moment when I design, engineer a product, up to the very end of life of a product, through the manufacturing, the production of the products, the transportation, the use, and so to, as I said, the end of life. Well, talking about the environment is always an issue because the environmental impact is very complicated and implies multiple factors. To assess the environmental impact, we apply 15 impact indicators that are very varied, and they were recommended by the European Commission in May 2013. And that should actually represent the so-called environmental ID card of any product. As we will see later, these 15 different indicators are then summarized and then translated into one single comprehensive indicator. Let's start with the first factor, which is well known, which is the greenhouse effect. So climate change or carbon footprint. So we actually use many different definitions to define the same phenomenon, actually, which is the number of greenhouse gas emissions that prevent infrared rays to be reflected out of the atmosphere, thus creating heat within the atmosphere of the planet and causing all the catastrophes and disasters that we're all familiar with. With FEDON Ambiente Italia working group, we assessed some 30 products, some 30 eyeglass cases, on which we performed some screenings. We used these screenings because we wanted to identify the impact related to the specific product being assessed, that is to say, the eyeglass case. Of course, the products were selected in a very varied way, with different shapes, different materials, not only from FEDON but also from competitors. And what we found out is that from the case with the lowest impact up to the case with the highest impact, and here you see the indicator that provides us with this piece of information, which is the number of kilograms of CO2 equivalent for every single type of case. So you see that from the top to the bottom, we have a gap of over 80%. And what does this mean? This means that we have great potential for improvement for every single product, for every single eyeglass case. Based on this insight, we then went even further in our analysis and we identified the bottlenecks of these products. That is, we assessed the materials, the product units, or the most impactful phases of the life cycle. And once identified, we have tried to find out how to improve the life cycle of these products. And well, by the way, some of these charts and stats are visible in our stand. So based on that, we decided to focus on improving those products, thus improving their environmental impact. Well, this project is still underway. It is at an advanced stage, but it is not over yet. We will go on with the idea of calculating not only one single indicator, one single impact, which is the carbon footprint, as I said, but we're going to focus on the other 15 indicators that I showed you before and that the European Commission recommended for use. And based on that, we will define one single comprehensive indicator. These are the steps that we are envisaging to implement. So definition of the impact indicators, weighing of the indicators, and then we are going to validate that single indicator on the 30 products that we have already assessed. And in addition, we will also extend this project to other products so that we can identify some performance brackets of the different eyeglass cases. And with these performance brackets, we will be able to develop a very detailed environmental ID card that clearly specifies the sustainability of the relevant product. This will be regulated within the framework of a precise procedure in the integrated environment and safety process of FEDON, and then once these rules and regulations are developed and accepted, we will publish them well in the middle of the year, so that it can be implemented in the second half of the year. So thank you very much, and then now I'd like to hand over to the next speaker, who will talk about the brand. Hello to everyone. I will try to quickly draw some conclusions, and I will try to summarize what the results of our surveys have been. Well, the survey conducted by SWG was also performed for the perceived value of the consumer, well, for the value perceived by the consumers on sustainability features. And what we found out is as follows. On a matrix, on one of the axes, we put the perceived value stated by the respondents for the 30 products they were exposed to. And then on the x-axis, we have the sustainability of the same products measured with the LCA technology that was defined together with Ambiente Italia. Again, we have product positioning, which is defined based on these two values. That is, on the one hand, we have the perceived value, on the other hand, sustainability. And this is the matrix. We have 30 products in it. On the bottom left, this 18 is a product that had a relatively low perceived value and a very limited sustainability. So this product is not a good example. But then what did we do? We have tried to define 4 quadrants. On the top right, we have the best quadrant because there we see brands with a perceived value for their products or accessories which is high, and this may be consistent with their product image, but also the sustainability index is above average. The average is indicated by this now line, the green line. But let's take the product number 25, for instance. Well, these are, the brand managers can say, okay, sustainability is above the average. However, the focus on sustainability is so strong and quick that in a short period of time, this average value is going to move to the right. So even those having a sustainability index which is above the average today, if they're not quick enough, this value will decrease over time. So those who are in the worst quadrants at the bottom left will have to take measures if they want to improve their positioning on the market. They will have to invest on design, style, etc. in order to increase the perceived value. But at the same time, they will also have to design cases with a better impact in terms of environmental sustainability. This is what we did in collaboration with Ambiente Italia. We developed an eco-label for the case, for the eyeglass case, and we are now about to define in the next weeks a ranking so that each product can be given a specific value. Let's take an example, a washing machine. When you buy a washing machine, you can see an indicator, A, B, or C, for the water and power consumption of the washing machine. The idea is basically the same. The underlying idea is the same. There will be indicators for the best performing cases with a plus or with such an indicator. The underlying idea is that measuring an impact is important. However, I have to transfer that to the consumer, otherwise he or she will not be able to perceive the added value. Hence, we decided to understand how to transfer that value to consumers. The idea is to introduce a sustainability label and add this to the product itself so that it can be fully perceived by the consumer. And now Cabras will draw further conclusions.
Well, a brief comment. I'd like to go back to what was said before by Professor Caramauri, and I liked it a lot. The case goes around. It's a wonderful sentence. And what SWG told us, the case is one of those types of packaging that is always carried around. And as a consequence, it communicates value. It helps communicate value. And FEDON, from this perspective, is investing, keeps on investing in design, product development. We have entities in China and Italy. Last year, we managed almost 800 projects per year. And consider that a project is subdivided into various styles, various sizes, various materials, with the objective to support our customers and consumers with higher added value products. And here you see an extrapolation from the analysis. And in this case, the 30 cases analyzed have been subdivided into 3 price categories, and the cost at which we sell to our customers, subdividing them into low, medium, high range eyeglass cases. And the higher the price of the case that is distributed in the market, and exponentially you see it in the green column, the higher the value perceived by consumers. This is to reiterate the concept that packaging does contribute to increase brand equity of the brand itself. Another aspect, sorry, let's see if my slides go on. Another important aspect FEDON has always been working on, and all of this is produced by trying to have full respect for those working with us, but to also protect the brand equity of the brands we're producing. And one last step. In terms of the environment, we wondered what we can do, what we did. So the cases produced by us in the last 10 years, 500 million eyeglass cases, and we wondered, sorry, I have already shown you, by putting together all of such cases. And a case, anyhow, is a product with a certain volume, which case can be compared to a skyscraper. And from the calculations made by some of our technicians present here, the impact is considerable. If you put together all the cases produced, well, we can build this skyscraper in Dubai. This is to make you understand the importance of the environmental impact, and this volume was given to our customers, and in turn they gave this volume to end consumers. This is the volume of goods moved. And I have here a case. FEDON, some time ago, designed a product in cooperation with one of our clients, and you can use big-sized glasses, but the volume is 1/3 of a common eyeglass case. If we want to compare it to a skyscraper, the handling volume saved can be compared to this wonderful Abu Dhabi skyscraper. So, in terms of sustainability, this is something we have already done and we're working on. One last step. In our plant in Italy, 70% of the electricity comes from renewable sources. Now let's get to the conclusions, and I'd like to give the floor to my colleague and then your questions. I will be brief, just 30 seconds. You've seen that there's a very strong trend for sustainability. We have decided to ride this wave and putting together the things we've seen today. What have we learned? We've learned that our product has a communication content that is higher than what we imagined, and it's even higher than the product it contains. We are following sustainability for our products using certain technologies, and now we have a methodology to measure everything. We want to transfer this value of sustainability to end consumers, and we want to do it with a label to apply to cases we produce for our customers, to give value to end consumers, to give value to the brand, and to the eyeglass producer that sells their own eyeglasses to the brand, and for us they supply the accessory. And all of this with the highest attention devoted to full compliance for corporate social responsibility. That is to say, we don't use minors, we comply with all the environmental laws, we protect the rights of workers. We want to avoid any risk that might harm the value of the brand for our clients. And if you think about major brands of fashion, they have stock exchange capitalizations, huge capitalizations. They invest massive amounts in advertising, and any negative repercussion for the themes listed, and especially social responsibility, would create big damage. I'd like to thank all the panelists of the workshop, and I'd like to specifically thank Adele Martini, our colleague, for coordinating everything. I'd like to thank participants, and I wish you good trade fair. Oh yes, sorry. Thank you so much again for being with us. If you have questions, we're available for you.
Una cosa interessante che è emersa dalla ricerca che abbiamo fatto con SVG, giusto per...
And we have seen, yes. Sorry, the mic. The idea of classifying cases just like A++, just like household appliances, once it is done, in the cases you produce for your clients, can they be classified? Yes, I think so. With the help of Ambiente Italia, we have developed an algorithm that allows us to make calculations, but an interesting thing, once we calculate the position, if you consider the previous graph, we can also propose solutions so that the product can get into another segment, yes, and also making the label available. It depends if it's a house brand or if it's a licensed brand. We want to place the label on the cases of our clients to give you value and to give value to end clients. The answer is affirmative. This is what we do. The study we carried out, yes, it has already been done. You can see it. The cases we analyzed have been placed in a row in terms of value perceived by consumers and in terms of sustainability impact. So, is it all your cases? No, no, no. One part is represented by our cases and part competition cases. And consider that in terms of value of cases, some consumers perceived a value of some cases of some brands up to 30 euros, and it surprised us. But obviously we speak about brands that have invested a lot in terms of image and design. Because the theme of sustainability, well, we are able to understand who has a more sustainable value than others because we've measured it.
Se non ci sono altre domande.
If there are no other questions, when you go out, you find a bowl with a small eyeglass case that you can keep as a memory of this day. Thanks a lot.
Grazie mille.
Thank you.